Can you hear me? Hello, Sophia. Welcome, everybody. Can you please stand up for me, just for a minute? Just quickly stand up. I know it's been a long, hard day. Clap your hands, please. Clap your hands. Thank you for the nice welcome. You can sit down. Thank you very much. I just need the clicker. Thanks very much. Right, so this is a real quick talk about scaling Agile, and we're going to have a look at SAFe, and we're going to look at Scrum at Scale. It's not very long, but I am going to just give you some kind of war stories on it. Let's just see how we do here. Right, so this is what we're doing. A light but insightful talk on SAFe and Scrum at Scale. There's nothing light about scaling, believe me. So I'm going to try and keep it as light as possible, and hopefully you'll be able to take something away with you today. So I've done both of these in many organizations, so I'll bring you a few little examples of some of the things, challenges that I've come across. So what is it, this business of scaling? Well, I mean, let's take a look. First of all, there's a nice little diagram here, and I think you probably already know. Some of the guys that spoke this morning, Jürgen, and some of the others showed some diagrams like this. And basically, where we are on the left-hand side is we're just doing teamwork, Scrum work. And now we need to scale. So we start bringing teams together, as you can see in these circles. If you're using Scrum at Scale, we call them Scrum as Scrums. If you're using SAFe, we call them Agile release trains. It's the same thing. It's really simple. It's just groups, teams of teams working together to deliver a solution. And at the top, you can have Scrum of Scrums, and or you can have solution trains. So that's it in a nutshell. But what's inside those teams is important. So it's not only development teams, you might have marketing, you might have legal working with you, whatever it takes to actually deliver something to your customer. So think about this, that basically the whole organization, it's not just a few teams that are doing this. Also, we want to change and be responsive to the market, which we can be because we've got a plan and we know what we've planned for our teams to do. So basically, we focus on organizational-wide application of agility. So it's not just in engineering, it's across the organization. And what this gives you, like really clearly, and any organization would want this, is transparency. So that's really important. Who wouldn't want that? But here's the thing. Ensure that whatever you scale, that your foundations are in a good state. Because if you're not doing good Agile, you're going to scale bad Agile, and you don't want to do that. Okay, so just a quick question here. Who is currently scaling Agile in their organization? Show of hands. Okay, quite a few of you. Who is thinking about scaling Agile in their organization? So a few of you. Okay, great. So those of you that are already scaling, think about the things I'm going to talk about today, and you can tell me if you think that they're true or not. So why would we scale? By the way, you don't scale unless you really have to. It's difficult, it's hard work, there are benefits, but be sure that you really need to scale. Don't just scale because the CEO has told you to do that. So obviously it enhances collaboration. Sorry, just one click back. Definitely it's going to enhance collaboration because you're getting people together to talk about the work. So without a shadow of a doubt, even if you're not scaling, it's collaboration, so it's worthwhile. It speeds up product delivery. It definitely does, but I said maybe, because it might not speed it up, but it will certainly get something to your client faster. It improves alignment across teams, and that's really important because you're starting and stopping at the same time, hopefully. And then, obviously, effective scaling helps organizations respond to market changes, definitely. Because you have a plan, at least for a quarter, and if it's not going to work, an AI comes along and you have to change direction, you can. actually in an organization that I'm working for at the moment, we've just done exactly that. We've actually taken all of our teams and repurposed them on something that was going to make them a lot of money. And we knew what we were dropping because we had the roadmap. Again, transparency. That's key, actually, that we're always transparent in what we're doing because we're planning. So just a quick overview of the two. So obviously, SAFe combines lean and agile principles. You guys know that already. And that's the real focus here. And then Scrum at Scale emphasizes extending Scrum, But both frameworks aim to enhance organizational efficiency. That's not always the case. But that's the objective, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. So let's just look at SAFe. So if you're new to SAFe, you can Google SAFe Big Picture. This will come up. It's really useful. Dean Leffingwell, the inventor of Scaled Agile, he's done his homework, for sure. So each one of these little icons you can click on, and you can get all the detailed information about what's going on here. And it looks complicated. It's actually not. It looks a bit scary, but it's not really. So down the left-hand side, you've got the different roles that you get. But what we're going to focus on is this. So this is what we know already. We're working in teams. You can see on the left-hand side, we've got Scrum, we've got team backlogs, we know this, and we've got a set cadence. So we're delivering features incrementally. Just above that, obviously, you're just talking about an agile release train. So this is just teams of teams that are working together to deliver something. This is actually the gold in this framework. PR planning, program increment planning, or big room planning. This is actually where the rubber hits the road. We've done this here in Bulgaria at least probably 6 years ago. I'm just thinking, and actually bringing everyone together and putting your plans up and discussing what you're going to deliver is really, really powerful. If you do nothing else, just do this. It's really, really useful. Sorry, just one thing on that. If you decide to do big room planning, don't do a hybrid approach. Either have everybody together or have everybody online. Don't have half online and half face-to-face. You lose your audience. I unfortunately had to learn the hard way about that. So only do one or the other. Then this is also really important, is actually that we plan at a higher level with themes, and we actually plan what epics we want to deliver per quarter. There's another key thing here, that you've actually got a golden thread from what the leadership executives of the company are expecting, and it filters down to the teams. And then we can see how we're actually delivering to what we plan to do. Now, in other methodologies, this isn't always the case. So this is quite structured, but it does give you some real benefits for sure. Okay, so have a look at this. Go and read up about it. What I would say about this is you don't have to implement the full framework. Inspect and adapt. Some of the guys in the talks earlier were saying about doing an experiment. Do an experiment. It doesn't have to cost you a lot of money to do this. And I'll tell you a little bit more about it in a second. Just some benefits of SAFe. Obviously, implementing SAFe enhances collaboration and communication. Why? Well, because we're getting together and we're doing a plan. It improves product delivery alignment with business goals. The top piece where we're planning what we want, so we align to that. Things aren't just happening at random. And then obviously organizations gain increased flexibility. They can change direction because they know what they're doing. But here's the thing, we can fail fast. And this is brilliant. So we plan a quarter, we try and do scaled agile. It doesn't work, we change. Okay, so just some real-world applications here. Cisco and Intel use Scaled Agile, and actually Visa in South Africa, I ran a big transformation for them. And actually we had a lot of people together planning the implementation of an airport as an exercise. It was very powerful. So the other one here at Forth, which you'll probably know quite well, many of you are here today that came on this journey with me, and we implemented SAFe at Forth. We did big room planning here in Bulgaria, and it was great, fantastic. And a lot of us are here 7 years later, still friends today. So I would recommend it if you have a need. Now, that's SAFe, okay? And I'll come back to it a little bit in a minute. But Scrum at Scale is the other framework. So there's others, but these are the two main ones that I would recommend if you were scaling. So you probably know this already. All his stuff is really red. But he's a co-creator, Jeff Sutherland, and he, with the Agile Alliance, actually created Scrum at Scale. And it's really simple framework, actually. It's just got 3 fundamental concepts, and it's these small teams, so I think 5 to 9. And this is important, minimum bureaucratic requirements. So SAFe has got a lot of rules and regulations about how to do things. There's pros to that. Scrum at Scale has a lot less. So that's what that means. And then basically all they're doing is extending the basic Scrum team, scaling what you have. And I'll show you a little bit more about that in a second. This is a framework. It looks quite light compared to the Scrum at Scale one. Sorry, the SAFe one. And you can see it's just got 2 circles, 2 main circles, that's it. It's split in 2, which I wonder if that's such a good idea. On the left-hand side, you've got the Scrum Master Cycle. So it's all about Scrum, this. So it starts off from the team process. We're doing Scrum at Scale, which means multiple teams. And then you're actually having Scrum of Scrums, which is where teams coordinate together. And then you come down to delivery, and then you interface with the product side, which I'll talk about in a minute. So what's different here? Well, you've got multiple teams, first of all. You have Scrum of Scrums to align them. You have a role, a Scrum of Scrum Master, who actually pulls all that together. But what's important here is that executive action team. So what this is, it's like a Uber Scrum team made up of executives. And actually, the product owner of that team should actually be the CTO. That's the level that we're talking about. So the leadership form part of that executive action team. What do? They remove impediments. So anything that we can't sort out in the Scrum of Scrums gets escalated to the executive action team. So that's that side. This side, same thing, but around the product. So it's called the product owner cycle, the what, okay? And here we've got product owners coming together in a meeting or a grouping called the Meta Scrum. And basically what they have is a chief product owner. So he's just like a Scrum Master for product owners. And basically they do the backlog, decompose, release, and they go around that cycle. And the chief product owner and the Scrum Master are in both executive meetings. So there's another meeting, executive Meta Scrum. So that's the head of product. And those guys get together. The product owner of that team is a CEO. So that's the level, again, that we're operating at. So you've got both of these, and you actually, the beauty of this framework is it's very light, but you're bringing the executives very close to the coalface. This is good. They're having real-world discussions about what's going on. But if you scale too soon, these guys are wondering, why are we here? We're busy. Why have you called us to this meeting? So you need to make sure that you get the timing of your scale right, so that when you involve them, they can make a difference. So that's actually the Scrum at Scale framework. Very simple. So what I'd say is, with this, is you need a good coach, and I'll talk about that in a minute, just to guide you through it. But you definitely need to make sure you have those few roles in place, and that the execs buy in, and they actually attend those meetings. And that's it. So you can see the difference between the two. So how do we compare this framework with SAFe? Well, Scrum at Scale prioritizes flexibility. You can see that it's very light. I would start with that. SAFe offers a detailed framework with set roles and practices. So you see, you can still do a light version of SAFe. It's more structured. If you're completely new to Agile, sometimes SAFe makes you feel just that, a bit safe, rather than go radical Agile. So something to think about. SAFe can be expensive. People like certifications. If you put your company through getting certified, and a lot of people, it's going to cost you a lot of money. I don't think that's necessary. I'll tell you how you can approach it in a minute. And Scrum at Scale, it's simple. It's a simple framework. It's easy to scale. Just take 2 or 3 teams and just form a scrum of scrums and see how that goes, and then take it from there. Remember, we're Agile, so inspect and adapt. So how do we implement these strategies? Well, a Scrum at Scale anyway. So obviously training, but I'm not saying certification. You can do that later if you feel the need, but certainly some training. So you need somebody that knows what they're talking about. And then you need to identify the Scrum of Scrums, the Meta Scrum, Executive Action Team, and Executive Meta Scrum. That's all. And you can go and read about this. Then obviously clear product backlogs, because you need to know what you're talking about in those sessions. You need to direct the teams. The teams are all working in Scrum, and you need somebody to facilitate. And you'll hear me say this a few times, get an experienced coach. That's the most cost-effective way. Have a person that knows these frameworks, can come in, have a look at your situation, guide you, do a bit of training, get you guys up to speed, and then you can decide after that which way you want to go, and if you want to get everybody certified. So that's just a little bit of a guide that you could do. Hopefully save you some money anyway, which is obviously the big key thing today. So, I mean, what are the challenges? I've made it look so easy. Even I feel like scaling. Okay, so some common pitfalls. So in SAFe, obviously, misalignment in communication and collaboration. So what happens here is that there's all these roles. For instance, one of the key ones is the release train engineer. Just the name is confusing. You think engineer, but actually it's not an engineer. It's more like a scrum of scrum masters. He's actually making sure all those trains online, on track. He's actually keeping everybody together. So there's some education there. Complex roles, like I said, there's a lot of different roles in SAFe, so you may feel you need to employ people for them. And obviously, certification can be expensive. And I know this from my experience. I've been in organizations where everybody's got certified. It costs a lot of money. So in the UK, I think to do a certified SAFe course is anything between £800 to £1,200. If you've got a lot of employees, big bucks. And then you're not sure, like, okay, you've done the training, now what? So I would put that on hold, the certification, initially. What about Scrum at Scale adoption? Well, you can see there, it's also, they don't have a lot of clear roles, so you could get lost a little bit there as well. So you need some support. Insufficient communication, resistance to change. Sometimes the guys are used to working in Scrum teams. They don't want to scale. They're just like, why do we have to go to a Scrum of Scrums meeting? What's that for? So you also don't necessarily have quarterly planning specifically laid out with Scrum at Scale. So you may need to do a bit of work there. One of the biggest things, as I mentioned just now, is scaling too soon. So an organization that I recently worked with decided to go Scrum at Scale. We set everything up. We got to the executive action team meeting. The executives were there. Why are we here? We had nothing to scale. We weren't ready. We hadn't scaled yet. We were still trying to get the foundations right. So we lost them. We lost the audience. They're like, this is a waste of time. So you need to be really clear that you're ready. Start small first and then maybe call them later. Okay, so how do we overcome these challenges? So, as I said, clear communication of the vision. So be clear why you're doing it and be clear what your vision is. What do you want to actually deliver? And then regular training and coaching, not certification at this point. Definitely not when you start. And I think somebody else, it might have again been Jürgen or Nicola this morning, build a strong foundation based on the Agile values and principles. Always go back to that. As long as you've got those fundamentals in place, you'll be successful. Get an experienced coach to help. And actually, I don't know why, when I was putting this together, I kept thinking about it. And I kept thinking, this is probably the most cost-effective way to get something off the ground. Get somebody in that knows, that can help you. Start from the top down. Get buy-in from your leadership. You probably all experienced that often things happen outside of engineering. So that happens in engineering, and then trying to get business on board is like really difficult. So start at the top. Fail fast. I've said that a few times as well. Okay, so just a few more slides, nearly there, and then I'll ask you for some questions if you have. So lessons learned from scaling. It's a bit blue, that, sorry. SAFe is very structured. It's good. It can be expensive. But like I said, if you're really new to Agile and you haven't done anything and you're a bit nervous, maybe in a conservative environment, this might be for you. Scrum at Scale is much less structured. It's good, but you can get lost, especially if your guys aren't experienced. Personally, I would start with Scrum at Scale, actually, and then inspect and adapt, and move up from there. So I would trial it, see if it works. Are we delivering? Are our customers happy? Or are they getting the experience that we actually want them to get, as we spoke about this morning? But one thing, take the best from both frameworks, be clear what you want to do, and definitely like the PI planning, the big room planning, that's gold, because you're really bringing your people together. So that's really useful. Okay, so what you have to think about, knowing all of that, and that's really like, scaling is a very deep topic, and I've just rushed through it just to give you some things to think about. What you have to think about is what next? What's next for you? And what's next for your organization? That's important. So if you're scaling and it's successful, that's great, and it would be really nice to hear some war stories from you. And I'm sure other people would be interested as well. I think every scaling transformation that I've done in an organization has been really successful, but it's hard work. So really, these frameworks, they do give you collaboration and efficiency and adaptability. It's not a silver bullet. So don't think we're going SAFe, it's going to solve all our problems. It's not. What it's going to do is it's just going to make everything more transparent, which initially feels like there's more problems. So it's hard work, and I think that needs to be clear. And is it worth it? Absolutely, it's worth it if you need it. If you have a real need with multi-team delivery, definitely go scaling your Agile, no problem. So, I pause there. I didn't realize talking into a mic is like so exhausting. I feel like I've done exercise, so I'm just going to pause to see what questions. I can take a few questions. Yes. How can you present to the management the commercial? Oh, how do you know it was successful? Well, that's a good question. I would say your teams are delivering, you've got transparency, so you can show them every sprint actually. These are all the teams, this is what they're working on, this is our touch point, this is when we're delivering to the client, it's visible. So I think the transparency, like what leadership wouldn't want transparency, right? Yes.
SAFe is quite complex. How many people you need to govern the process? So let's say you have 1,000 people, do you need like 5, 10? How many coaches? Or
Yeah, that's a really good question. So if you didn't hear, if you've got 1,000 people, how many people do you need to actually implement SAFe? I wouldn't even think 1,000. I would just actually think small. I would do a small proof of concept first. So before I just say 1,000 people are going to go SAFe, scaled Agile, that would make me really nervous. But I mean, you can see, if you think, ideally, a Scrum Master per team, as you know, you're in the business. How many coaches do you need? You maybe need a coach across an organization of, I don't know, 500 people or 250 people, depending on their experience. So you can work it out. You could probably have a Scrum Master per 2 or 3 teams. So, but what's most important, I think, is what I'm saying, is you need people that know the frameworks really well. So I wouldn't like to give you a number. I would actually say start with 5 teams, take a coach, and actually show proof of concept to the leadership first. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah, and then scale from there. Yes. You're going to have to shout.
Hi, thank you for the presentation first. My question is, how do you know you are ready to scale? Because usually it comes top-down, not the other way around. So,
yeah, that's a good question. So how do you know you're ready to scale? What do you think? Somebody want to answer that? So if you think about it, think about Google, one product. Can you imagine how many teams are working on Google? So if you think, how do I know if I'm ready to scale? You'll start to see where you're getting blocked. Teams are actually blocking you. So you might be delivering something, a piece of functionality, and actually you find that this team can't deliver because they're waiting on the next team. So then you realize, okay, we need to actually plan together, deliver together, and align our cadence or our sprints. So you will know, but you're right. When you say top down, things often come top down with no rhyme or reason. So it's a good question. Good. Are we ready? Do we need to? What are the business problems we're trying to solve? Do the teams need to work together? So thank you for that. I think these questions are really valid. You can find me on LinkedIn if you have any further questions, and I'll be around for the rest of the day. But actually, this is what I think. Organizations are cutting costs, right? Money is a big thing. We're trying to save money. And I think before you go and spend thousands on training and doing all of that, coaching is actually a key thing. So a skilled coach can help your team navigate, and your organization for that matter. By the way, there's some brilliant coaches here in Bulgaria. In fact, there's a few of them in this room. There's some really good talent in this country. So you don't have to look far. So if you're ready to embark on this journey and you don't know where to start or where to go, find an experienced coach, Nicola, Bogoy. They've got Agile pool here. They can help you. Or if you'd like, you can have a complimentary 30-minute consultation with me. Find me on LinkedIn. And we can definitely help you and guide you. So that's it from me. Thank you, everybody.
If you want more questions, we have time, if you want.
No. Sue, would you allow me one last question? Which one is your best team? Which
is my best team? My best team or my best team within the company. Well, my team is here actually, here today. So actually, I have a lot of the coaches here. I have Lily, and I have Milena, and I have Vasya, and I have Stefka is here, Galia. All of the girls are here that have worked with me today. Polya, they're all here. They're all brilliant coaches, and I've worked with them for many years. So there you go.
So we still have some time for more questions. Do you want? So we knew that there will be many questions. So we didn't had the previous break for 10 minutes. So now we have a bit more time for questions. So if there are such, now is your time.
Hi, so yeah, well, okay. I have a quick question. When you check forums in different places, for example, Facebook, there's quite a big backlash about SAFe. I mean, especially software developers don't find value, and some people even say that they quit their job due to SAFe. What do you consider this is the reason of that, of this backlash specifically from developer side?
So I have to be careful not to badmouth any methodologies, but they're probably not wrong. It's complicated, it's restrictive, and I think those are the negative sides, and that's what the developers are probably feeling. None of them ever like SAFe, because you see from the big picture, it's complicated. But for organizations, sometimes it gives them that feeling of safety. But yeah, I mean, there is quite a lot of negativity around it, but I think it's because it's a complex framework, and they don't like it, understandably. Yeah, thank you.
More questions or more coffee?
More coffee.
Okay, so we are a bit early because the coffee break officially starts after 7 minutes, but you can still go around and have some break.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you. Thanks you. It was really amazing having you. And the feedback. Don't forget the feedback forms.